one thing about running the Mississippi River, that you can have flat water like this, but if you get behind a lot of these barges, they push so much water with their props that it's real rough for 3 or 4 miles after you go by the barge. And there are stretches of the river where you have real heavy barge traffic. You might have 10, 14 barges just lined up in a row, and it's just like a 20-mile-an-hour wind. You can't run very fast in them. So that's kind of a determining factor when you're running 100 miles or 180 miles like some of the other anglers have been. This event's going to be one with a good bag. So I know that I'm going to have 5 key hits. I haven't been getting very many bites during the tournament. The most I've had is 8 bites in one day. So today, if I could get me 5, I'd get them all in the boat. They could weigh over 20 pounds.
Well, welcome to Memphis, Tennessee. It's the Walmart FLW Tour, 2nd year in a row here. Last year, of course, Gary Klein put on that incredible fishing display down at Lake Tunica. This year, it's a completely different river, dozens of feet lower than it was last year, which means the hundreds of lakes available to these anglers have dwindled down to about 3 in which they can catch enough fish to win this tournament in. Number 1, Tunica Lake, where we had our launch today. Also, we've got Lake DeSoto, about an hour down the river, and almost 2 hours down the river is Lake Whittington. Jerry McInnes is with us, and Jerry's up in the chopper watching some of our fishermen make these incredible runs.
Tommy, I feel, we just talked about this earlier. I feel like I'm in the twilight zone here.
Yeah.
We are probably, what, 150 miles from you downstream?
Hey, getting close to it anyway.
And, well, you know, first of all, I want to say that a couple of events ago over on Murray Reservoir, you and I got to touting all the big stringers of fish we were going to have, and then things that happen around fishing tournaments started happening, you know?
Yeah.
And those big strings didn't show up. So, you know, I hate to go out on that limb again, but I do want to say this. As we are watching 2 of the boats, obviously 2 of the boats right off my shoulder here, I do want to say this. During the qualifying days, Wednesday and Thursday, there were 35 times that fishermen weighed in fish over 15 pounds.
That's incredible. It's been wonderful fishing.
And then these 5 guys that qualified today, yesterday, had from 16 to 18 pounds.
They were all within a pound of each other, the 5 guys who qualified. And, man, what a qualifying field we've got here in Memphis, Jerry.
This is like a Legends tournament, isn't it?
It's a dream come true. It is the Legends tournament. We've got Rick Clunn, who won our last outing over at Beaver Lake. We've also got Davey Height, the winner of our championship 2 years ago in the Quad Cities. We've also got Larry Frazier, first time ever in the top 10. He's made it all the way to the top 5. He is excited to be here and fishing up in Tunica Lake. Of course, last year's champion, the Gary Klein. And we've got Ken Cook, who made the final 5 last year as well.
And Tommy, really, we're going to get into this fishing because it's going to be good. I am going out on that limb again.
All right.
It's going to be good. But this trip, this adventure these guys have taken today and for the last 3 and 4 and maybe 6 and 7 days is almost a bigger story than the fishing itself.
Well, the first 2 fishermen to reach their fishing spots will be Ken Cook and Gary Klein. Klein, in fact, is now at the most critical point, the chute, the entrance into Tunica Lake from the river.
And once I make this bend right here, I'm going to have to get it going pretty good.
One wrong move, a bad turn here, and Gary's day is done. It's over.
Hang on right through here.
Every night, see, the water drops about a foot, so each morning it's a new adventure for this and every other boat. Staying on plane is what is so critical.
Hang on. We get past here, we got it. Now we can make it on in. And I've got one little big flat up here that I got to run across to get into the lake, and then we'll be fishing.
Rick Clunn told us yesterday this was the longest run he had ever made in a fishing tournament. And when he said that, you know, it just kind of jolted me. You know, Rick Clunn, this is the longest Rick Clunn
30
has
years
ever been?
30 years he's been fishing tournaments. And, of course, Davey Height today is going 60 minutes past Rick Clunn. Davey Height's only going to have 3 hours to fish.
He's going, what, approximately, round trip, approximately 380 miles from Memphis.
Just incredible, and so many hazards, so much danger out there. I mean, the chances of him making it back are, well, they're a little shaky. I mean, you got to get back in order to weigh fish and qualify for the $100,000 first prize.
Tommy, I am sitting right at the, sitting over DeSoto Lake. Larry Frazier's already come through. You're going to talk to Larry in a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, Larry Frazier, who's fishing down at the far end of
the
DeSoto
far
Lake.
end, and Rick Klun, followed by his camera crew, have just made their way through the chute. And again, I have to tell you that this is like scary.
Yeah, I know.
It's really the twilight zone. I just feel like we are at the end of the world. No one around, no houses around, no boat docks, no people. And it's amazing, first of all, that these guys found these places and then can make it back and forth to them every day.
Well, you know, the water's still dropping, Jerry. That's a very small chute. There's room for one boat to get through there. If they're getting 18 inches of water falling out every day, I mean, there's a possibility they could be stuck in DeSoto Lake until somebody comes and picks them up with a trailer, and that's going to disqualify them from the tournament. So it's it's not a sure thing yet, even if they catch a big sack of fish.
Should catch one right on this cast right here.
Well, hey, we're finally fishing, and Ken Cook is sounding pretty confident.
There he is. It is a good one, too.
Ken with that fish on, along with our other competitors, have been throwing spinner baits a lot this week. His being a 3/8 ounce heart spinner bait, which, of course, he's put a lot of work into himself.
That'll start. Yeah, baby. That'll start. I do love this sport.
And yes, we do know Gary Klein is well known for his jig fishing, but he too has started his day with a spinnerbait.
There's one. Yeah. There's a tunica bass. That's a 4-pounder. That's the first fish I've caught on a spinnerbait since I've been here, so yeah, it kind of goes to show that you got to be open for adjustments. You know, with no sun out, see, we've had sunshine, and with the sunshine, those fish have been really tight in the cover. And when you have a low light condition like this, what they are is they're around the cover. They're not in the cover. So I've been catching my fish in here in the afternoon, flipping a jig in this stuff. And I figured first thing this morning, maybe they'll hit a spinnerbait a little bit around this cover. And that fish came to the cover to get the bait. It wasn't in it, it was just around it. The good part about this is that 3 of the guys ain't even got close to where they're going yet.
There was about a 3-pounder on that little limb right here just a second ago. I'll catch him before the day's over.
Well, we have 4 out of 5 anglers now fishing. Davey Height still about an hour from his first cast. And Larry Frazier here settled down in the back end of Lake DeSoto, where the bait fish are so plentiful in the shallow water that they're bringing the bass right up to the bank.
Told you I was going to get that rascal.
Just up the lake, not too far west of Larry Frazier. Again, here's Rick Klun. Now, in the first 5 years of the Walmart FLW Tour, we've had several anglers who have made impressive runs over a 5 or 6 tournament span. David Fritz, his 3 wins back in 1997, that certainly comes to mind. And right now, this fellow we're watching, Rick Klun, he is on one run himself. He's fished well all season long. The last event, the Walmart Open on Beaver Lake, Bentonville, Arkansas, he won that one. Today, well, as you can see, he's in the position to go back-to-back. He's put himself where he can have another victory today. Watched him here. He's on his patented crankbait run up the bank there, just as we saw him do at Beaver Lake. And now he's put himself on top of the heap when it comes to all-time earnings on this and every other circuit. He's truly, well, shall we say it, he's the best that there's ever been to this point.
Well, Sanders, I think that fishing close to home is for sissies. We're still zooming down the Mississippi River. We're about 50 miles from Greenville, Mississippi. Man, I hope Davey Height knows where he's going. I really hope he can get us back home, too. And, folks, fishing's good when a scoreboard appears in the first segment of the show.
Walmart FLW Tour is brought to you by Walmart. Always low prices, always. By BF Goodrich. Take control. By Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. And by Citgo. You know me. Fishing 70 miles south of Memphis in Tunica Lake, Ken Cook and Gary Klein. This is Ken Cook we're looking at right now.
There we go. That is a nice one. Yeah, baby. That would have been nice having that right there. Gotcha. Yeah, bass. Yeah, baby. That one's for Tammy. He bent my spinnerbait, but I think I'll bend it back. God, I love this.
That must have been a gar. I mean, I saw the flash when the bait went in. Bass doesn't miss it. There's a good. Yeah, buddy. It's amazing what you can get away with a 30-pound test line. See, now this is one here that I'm not going to have to call. So the way my mind's working right now is I'm ahead of schedule. Those other guys are still running. And I've got 2 fish, as far as I'm concerned, in the box right now that I don't have to worry about doing anything with as the day goes on. So I need 3 more hits like this, and I think I can win this thing. That right there is a solid 4. She'll go in the big fish box. Now, I don't know if that was the fish that missed me on that first cast or not, or on that first drop, but something popped it just as soon as it went in. And, you know, you can never really be sure until you actually see the fish, but I dropped the jig into the first time, and I saw the flash and the pop, and, you know, actually the fish never got the bait. But what happens a lot of times, these fish are laying in this real heavy cover like this, and I don't know how he's positioned, so the fish has got to get to the bait with his mouth. And what happens a lot of times with these big fish is they turn, and it takes, you know, it's like a big jet airline. It takes them a lot of runway to turn around. And that's where, you know, you swing, you miss the fish. So obviously repeat the cast.
Gary Klein always so free with the good info, and he's switching out to a fisherman who may be the best spinnerbait angler we know of, and who's truly having a big time today.
Stay on there, baby. Ha-ha! Long net pays off again. Yeah, bass.
See that gar laying there? There's actually 2 gar. I don't know if you can see them in the lens. See their tails? See how they're just tucked right in the bushes? Watch, I'm gonna drop my jig right there beyond that jig. You see that gar sitting there? That's just what those bass are doing. They're laying up there in that little bit of green stuff. See there? See that gar get me? And that's exactly what these bass are doing. See, there's no cover. You look at all the willow trees on the bank, and these fish are used to laying up in this green stuff.
Ken Cook with a limit of fish before basically the other fellas made it to their fishing spot, at least the ones who were going to DeSoto and Whittington Lake. And Ken, I mean, you know, you got to feel good, but you can't feel complacent, right?
No, I don't have enough yet. I've only got 3 good fish and two smaller fish, but yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm ahead of schedule, I figure, so.
Did it surprise you how well they bit this morning? Did you think it was going to diminish as the days went on?
I expected it to be. This is the first time we've gotten here this early, and that's the one advantage I have is being here early. Then they've been on a real early bite. The shad have been a real shallow spawn, and they're doing that a little bit this morning. and the fish are right up there in the bushes where they're supposed to be, and they love my spinnerbait.
Now, what size is that spinnerbait, and how does it compare with the size of these shad that are swimming around over there, Ken?
Well, that's one of the keys, Tommy, is when I got here in practice and saw how most of the shad are fairly small, to like 2 inches long. I went down, I tried my bigger spinnerbait, which last year I caught them on a big spinnerbait, big blades, and I tried that. It didn't work very well, and the fish were real shallow in these bushes. And so I started throwing a little bitty spinnerbait with like a 3 and a 4 willow leaf blades.
Now, how are you retrieving that spinnerbait? It's not just a straight, fast retrieve, is it?
I try to match the cover, try to put the spinnerbait as close to the bush or log or whatever I'm trying to fish, try to get it as very close to the cover. The fish don't really want to run out away from their ambush point to get the bait usually. That last nice one I caught did. But most of them have been real tight to cover, and I got to get the spinnerbait right in their face, basically, for them to bite it. And it's been a little better than that this morning, but I expect as the day goes on, I'll have to slow down again.
All right. Tell us about these old river lakes, Ken, with your fisheries biologist background. Are these fish going to bite all summer long, through this spring and into the summer?
Oh, yes, they will. It's a very fertile fishery. The backwater lakes have high nutrient levels. They have tons and tons of food fish, shad and such, and so the population of predators is pretty high, especially largemouth bass and gar and white bass and all kinds of stuff. But they all grow fast and they all eat all year round pretty much, except possibly in the dead of winter. The summertime, the feeding periods are short. And usually early morning is the key time, especially in the early summer, because daytime temperatures, the sun, causes that plankton in the water to grow real fast. And when the plankton grows real fast, it causes the pH to go too high. The oxygen level really gets too high. And midday is usually not the best time in summer, but early morning or cloudy days like today, it is a great time to be fishing.
Well, Ken, looking good right now. Keep fishing, and we'll see you at weigh-in time.
I promise you I'll keep fishing.
Okay.
The thing you want to remember is there's practically no fishing on the river itself. The river just becomes a highway to get to Tunica, to get to Melwood, DeSoto, Whittington, any of the oxbow lakes off the Mississippi River. That's where the fishing is at. So these guys have been forced to make these long runs just to get to the fish. And Gary Klein and Ken Cook, man, they've been fishing maybe for an hour and a half already. You wouldn't think you'd want to give a couple of fishermen of that quality that much edge in extra time, but by gosh, the guy we're following here is no slouch either. Davey Height won the FLW championship 2 years ago. He won the Bassmaster Classic last year. He's an incredible fishing machine, so he's got a plan, man.
Well, Jerry, speaking of people with a plan, we're now looking, of course, over the shoulder of Rick Clunn. And, I'm just guessing, here's a guy who has looked forward, believe it or not, to each day's challenge on this river. And these have been tough days. And honestly, there was a lot of moaning and groaning from a lot of fishermen during the qualifying days. But Rick Clunn here, we're guessing he was just too busy trying to figure things out to spend time complaining.
That big old bowfin. It ain't safe to be a minute in this bay, is it? If you're bait fishing here, you're in trouble. Somebody's fixing to have you for lunch.
It's the Walmart FLW Tour on the Mississippi River, down the river in Lake DeSoto. Larry Frazier, first time in the top 10, has made it to the top 5. And Larry, you picked a good one, but a tough one.
Well, yeah, but I've been fishing. I've missed 2 FLW tournaments. The first 2 in the inaugural 1996 season, I missed those 2.
Man.
Since then, I've fished every one of them. I've qualified for 2 of the championships. I've been close to 9 top 10 finishes and missed 9 of them less than 3 pounds.
Oh, my God.
It seems that I have bad luck. I've been in 4th after the first day. This was the 4th time, and I finally made it. I didn't get jinxed again, so it's been close, but no cigar.
What's your favorite kind of fishing, Larry?
Throwing a spinnerbait and flipping a jig.
Spinnerbait and a jig. Have most of your good fish come on jig bites this week?
I've had 2 jig bites yesterday.
Yesterday.
And today I've caught 3 on a spinnerbait.
Now, are you fishing any rocks? Are there any rocks up at that end of the DeSoto Lake?
Yeah, there's a few scattered rocks, but I'm not keying on the rocks. The mud banks and sand banks seem to be more productive than the rock banks do for me.
Tom, Tommy, I've just about run out of things to say. I want to see some fishing. I want to see it right now. Actually, I think we're pretty close. And, boy, you get to thinking that I'm anxious. Think about what Davey Hyde is feeling, knowing that he's got to make something happen, and he has to make it happen pretty darn fast.
I'm just going to tell you something, Jerry. You guys had better hurry because Larry Frazier, who you're watching here, is just about to, as he has voted, his 5th fish. That's a limit for him. It's just hard to believe, mind-boggling. Davey Hyde still running. This fellow has a limit here. And another thing I will tell you, those sunflower seeds he's got in his mouth are definitely hampering his communication skills. That's 5, he said.
There's one. Good one. Come around that bush, baby. Come on. That a boy. See, that's why I retired. Oh, yeah. Come on. You got it. I got you. Hold on. Hold on. Don't go another bush. Ah, yeah. Yeah, bass. That'll cull a pound and a halfer. Yeehaw. No, he wasn't getting off today.
Okay. We have done it, folks. We've made it to Whittington. Davey Hyde is only 15, 20 minutes away from his very first cast of the day. That's hard to believe. And again, we're just a hop, skip, and a jump over to Greenville, Mississippi. And you might really be questioning his plan right about now. But, hey, this is where he qualified, and he qualified very well. This is where he survived the top 10 yesterday, and he just has to stick with it. He just couldn't, you know, just start fishing water that he was unfamiliar with just because it was a little bit closer.
Well, Jerry, in all honesty, we do question his strategy now, particularly with what we know, what's happening with the other 4 anglers. You just wonder if there's any way possible he can catch him.
Well, Tommy, the people of Greenville, Mississippi, who knew Hyde was coming, are already forming a cheering section. They think he can do it. And Davey, how long do you have at this particular spot?
How much longer I had to fish?
Yeah.
About an hour and a half.
About an hour and a half?
Yep.
Do you leave yourself a big cushion, or do you cut it pretty close?
Well, it depends on what kind of stringer I got, you know. You have to allow a little extra time because you don't know how the barge traffic will be, but I made great time coming down here this morning.
Tell us real quickly exactly how you're fishing those banks.
Well, you know, this is yesterday afternoon I found some fish over here on this side. I had been catching them on the other side of the lake over there in the flooded trees, but the water's falling and almost all the fish are pulled over here on this deep bank on these laydowns. The people here have been great. You know, there's just a little bit of stuff in the water now, and I got a good crowd of people watching me, and they've given me the bank, really, and I really appreciate that.
How much did it fall last night?
I'd say another 1.5 feet.
Hey, I want to ask you one more question, then we'll get out of your way. We don't want to bother you any more than we have to here. You mentioned yesterday that you feel like a lot of our viewers perceive fishermen as being lucky, and you didn't want that to happen. Respond to that.
Well, you know, you gotta really want to win mighty bad to drive this much. When I get back today, I will have driven 1,200 miles on the Mississippi River. So if I thought it was all about luck, I'd fish about a half a mile from the boat ramp and have me a rabbit foot in my pocket. It's a lot of hard work and determination and trying to find the right areas to catch fish.
Davey, we really appreciate your time. Have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
The Walmart FLW Tour is brought to you by Coca-Cola. Always Coca-Cola. By Mitchell, redefining tradition. By Kellogg's, the best to you each morning. And by the Visa $2 Million Challenge. Log on to FLWtour.com.
Well, the water's probably fallen 6 feet in 4 days. I'm still basically doing the same thing, but I've had to change where I can do it at. I mean, the fish I caught the first day, squirrels live there now. But, you know, it's just the biggest problem is not having a lot of time, and you hope that you can relocate the fish pretty quick. Yesterday, it was kind of a close call. I didn't have any bites, my 2 confidence areas, and then I just had to think a little bit, and I got over here on this deeper bank and was able to catch enough fish to survive until today. But man, is this fun.
Boy, did you see that fish come out from the bush and bust that bait?
5.
I want you to look out, because here comes Davey Hyde. He's already got a limit of fish, and once again, he's located on the south bank of Lake Whittington.
Unfortunately, now we gotta increase our size.
I just watched you make a move. Are you trying to move and hit each one of these little brush piles or cover like what is right in front of you right now?
Yeah, today we've got quite a bit of local traffic, so I've been keying on just the isolated cover and trying to hop around and hit as many of them as I can. The key banks, you know, they've got local boats all over them, but so far it really hasn't made that big a difference. The fish are biting pretty good.
Are you still fishing that DB1 or DB2?
I've caught 2 on it, and I've caught 5 on, no, I've caught 3 on it and 5 on a spinnerbait.
And is it the same? I know it's like the one you were using up there, the one that event at Beaver. Does it happen to be the same one that you used at Beaver?
No, that one got retired.
You retired it, huh?
Yeah. I've only retired about 6 lures in my life. Some I won world champions with, and then that one with the being $200,000, first time I've ever won $200,000, so I retired that one.
Well, it deserved to be retired, didn't it? Hey, let me ask you one thing. You know, a lot of things are overlooked by fishermen and viewers and even us. A lot of the real intricate parts of professional bass fishing. Management, time management is one of those things that I think is overlooked.
Oh, well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's magnified in a tournament like this where
Absolutely.
When your fishing is narrowed down all into 3 to 4 hours a day. I mean, you don't have time to make any mistakes. You know, you can't get lazy for 1 second.
Every single cast, I guess you can just almost count the casts in an event like this where you only have 1 and 2 and 3 hours to fish.
Yeah, oh yeah, because, I mean, every cast that I cost myself, maybe that fish I need to win it.
Well, Rick, your time is so valuable. We appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us here. We're going to take off and be very careful going home. Good luck on the trip.
Thanks, Jerry.
Well, with everyone fishing, we now finally do get the feeling that we've officially started this competition, though, even though there's been some outstanding catches already. Gary Klein has boated several fish that will not need to be culled.
There's another one I don't have to call. Two more bites. 2 more bites and we're gonna have lunch.
Davey Hyde has no time for lunch, and truth be known, Klein won't be eating lunch either. Hyde's bait is in about 3 or 4 feet of water, and sometimes it's in brush, or a lot of times it's in brush that's not visible to us.
Oh, golly. Get out of there. That net was hung.
Boy, now there's some stuff that he's not going to be real proud of. Maybe these guys are a little more nervous than we think they are.
Good, and that one right there helped a bunch. One or two good ones like that, and I could beat a. Whew.
Walmart FLW Tour on the Mississippi River. Take a look at that scoreboard. Is this a contest or what? 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. We got a terrific fishing tournament going on here.
And as we speak, tide is headed back with a limit of fish that's in the 16, 17-pound range. But just before he left, he did his best to excite and entertain all the spectators down here. There's a gang, too, boy. And he also beefed up his total weight with not one, but two really outstanding catches.
Oh.
You want me to be excited? Now I'm excited.
That was a great fish. And it looks, though, that Height's weight will not win the big one today. But please remember, our scores, they're completely unofficial, so you really never do know. Everyone here fishing in this tournament uses very heavy line. We've seen why throughout the day. 20-pound test or better, and it whistles very loudly when a fish strikes, stretches it through the guides there. Rick Clunn making a run now. He certainly has the time left. He's still in the productive Lake DeSoto area, and he's having lots more luck with his net than Davey Height did. That fish right there, look at that. That moved him from 5th place into a tie for 1st place. 18 pounds now. He is tied with Ken Cook. This tournament is turning out to be everything we had hoped it would be. Rick Clunn is making a run. Gary Klein and Ken Cook right with him there, making it close.
There's one. Yeah.
We're looking at a good bag now. Boy, they sure eat that jig, too. It is all the way down inside. And I get to do what I like to do, call. If I have 4 that average 4, there's 16 plus that 2-pounder. That's 18. And I know that those fish are all over 4. I mean, I don't have a 3-pounder in the group. You know, they should be between 4 and 5 pounds. So I might have a 20-pound bag now. But if I get another big hit, then I'll have, you know, I could have 20 to 23 pounds, depending on the size of my next fish that I catch, my next big one, confidence. And I can get rid of that little guy. If today is any kind of an indication of what I've seen so far with the spinnerbait, Ken, who's the other angler that's fishing in here with me, may be going over a lot of quality fish because I can't get him to come up on a spinnerbait. You know, I've got to catch him on a jig. However, Ken is probably one of the best spinnerbait fishermen we have on the circuit. And if anybody can finesse these big fish out of this cover with a spinnerbait, Ken can. And, you know, he's been fishing in Tunica now for every day I have. So he's getting in tune with the fish, too. And, you know, there's my potential threat to win this thing right there.
How's that for a high jumper? Yeah. Yeah, bass. Yeah, baby. Yes, sir.
You see this green bush coming up here? You can just barely see the top of it sticking out of the water between us and the birds, about 75 yards, 60 yards. That one little top right there, I've caught a 6 and a 5 out of it. So who knows what's going to happen when I dump my jig in there here this morning. I'm going to ease my way on up the bank, and that may be the little top that I need to win this thing. So let's just say it's going to be an intense moment when I drop that jig in there.
Welcome back. It's the Walmart FLW Tour. Gary Klein has already given us what we call a tease here. He talked about this treetop and what he expected to be an intense moment when he drops his jig into there. He uses a rattleback jig with a plastic trailer, and the second time today he has the chance to score from the same piece of brush. There you can hear it. He's got one on there. You can see the bush moving. Now he may have to pull the whole thing out of the water. That's why they use the heavy line there.
Yeah! Woo! Can you believe that?
Yes, we can believe him. He certainly does seem to own this piece of water, and now, well, he is in the position to defend his title.
Buddy. Tunica be good to me again. Now, when you're calling fish this size for this size, you got a good bag. Whew. Look at that. Get rid of a 2-pounder and gain another 2 pounds. Man, how sweet it is. That may be a $100,000 bite right there. And I told you, coming up to that bush, that might be my 100,000 bush. That's 3 big fish I've caught out of that one little top right there.
Patterns and techniques have certainly changed just in the last 2 hours, from the spinner baits to crank baits, and now a Rick Clunn we see here with the jig. And any fisherman who's still standing on the last day pretty much bet that they are going to know that these things are going to change, and they adapt quickly. Regardless of the lure, though, regardless of the technique, all these quality fish are in the brush top, suspended near the surface.
Yeah.
Wow, that's got to be the fish of the day for Rick Clunn.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Stanley Jig. Long, skinny boy there.
Gary, a little bit of deja vu here. Seemed like it was just a week ago we was doing this very same thing with you.
Yes, it is. It's a really good feeling, though, let me tell you that.
There's only one difference. Where are the willow trees that you were flipping those jigs in last time?
Well, I'd have to have a 4-wheeler to get up on the bank to get to them.
This is really something, isn't it?
Yeah, the water's actually dropped about 5 vertical feet since the beginning of the tournament.
Good night. Are you actually flipping that jig now just in on the bare bank? Or
Well,
do you see
no,
something?
actually, I've got about 8 different targets up and down this bank that are some sunken brush and stuff that's a little ways off the bank. And that's what the fish seem to be keying on today.
And you can see those in the water all right?
Yeah, I can just barely see the tops of them sticking out of the water.
Hey, well, how about put that jig in your hand for just a minute and really show it to us really good, and then kind of walk us through a couple of pitches into that brush, if you would.
Well, I tell you what, Jerry, if it happens to work out, there's a little brush pile that I'm about 20 yards from that I caught a couple big fish out of today. I'm liable to catch another one. If you just hang on here a second, I'll get up close to it and see what happens.
Okay. Gary, what? Also, I heard you say, well, I think you told me the day before yesterday that you didn't think you could win here in Tunica. You know, you still don't know whether you have won here in Tunica, but what changed your mind?
Well, I know this area better than any other place, and I got a lot of confidence in it, and I just felt that there wouldn't be any pressure in this lake. That was my decision to stay here.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of goes back to the old saying of dance with who brung you, huh?
Exactly. This little brush top right here, so far I've taken 3 big fish out of it.
Is that today now? Or during the last several days?
No, I got a big one out of it today.
Well, what are you doing? Just if you can, talk us through how you're making your pitch and how you see that bait working in the water.
Well, to me, it just resembles a big crawdad or a big sunfish. It's a green pumpkin chartreuse tail jig, and I'm actually just feeling for the brush. You know, trying to hit the logs or whatever the object is that's down there. Now, if the fish is there, normally they get it on the sink or when I first pick it up. Just exactly the same bite that I had last year when I won.
And it's probably a pretty subtle bite, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You got to lift up, and the fish, you know, they've got the jig all the way inside their gullet.
Probably a crappie fisherman fishing with jigs could relate to that strike better than a lot of bass fishermen.
Exactly, yeah, it's a real mushy type bite. And that just tells me that the fish, when they bite the bait, they just want to stay in the brush pile. They're not going to leave it.
Davey Height's already running up the river. Larry Frazier here one last time through the chute, as will all our anglers have to make one last run back to the weigh-in site in Memphis, Tennessee. We're almost ready to see who wins this $100,000 championship. Don't go away. Separating all 5 guys after
we
the
pick up the weigh-in just after Height has brought up his last fish and is in the lead with 18.6. We think we're going to see some 20-pound weights today.
One of the
maybe
legends
even
of all
more
time.
than one.
We heard some oohs and ahs. Don't go away just now. Don't go away just now.
This is
not
exciting.
a good time. It's exciting. Man, oh man, let's take a look at this. 7:15. Man, oh man, how to get to 7:15.
That one weighs 410, so we're going to need one more.
He's reaching. How about that? Wow. Looking for 7:15.
This will be Ricky's limit. These 2 fish here weigh a total of 9 pounds, 15 ounces.
9:15 for Rick Clunn. What a job and a limit. We have to say goodbye to Davey. Man, let's hear it for Davey Height. What a week, what a year. Have a seat up in the front of the boat, Davey, and we'll let you watch from there. All right. Back around 2. Let's see. Going to be Larry Frazier. 9 pounds, 2 ounces, Larry. That's what it's going to take, Larry. 9-2 from down at Lake DeSoto. It's weighed in 4 already. This is going to have to be a heck of a fish.
Beautiful fish there. Unfortunately, that is his limit fish that weighs 4 pounds, 7 ounces.
All right, well, we got to say goodbye to Larry, but man, let's get a hand for the man who is, like we say, living the dream this week. Larry, we'll get you to sit up in the front of the boat there. Ricky Clunn, 220 pounds, 7 ounces, still your leader. Back around to Ken Cook now, who's weighed in 3 fish, and Ken, going to take 8 pounds, 10 ounces. 8-10, Ken, in order to stay in this game.
Ken's weighed in 3. Could have 2 more left. There's number 1.
Number 1.
This fish here weighs 3.9. He's got 1 more left. And these 2 fish here, total weight of these 2, 8 pounds even. 8 even.
Oh, not enough. Not enough for Ken Cook. Man, let's give him a hand. Ken, it's been great watching you work on this river and that lake 2 years in a row. Wonderful week. Congratulations. Again, a big hand for Ken Cook from Mears, Oklahoma. Ken Cook. All right. Your leader, as you see, 20 pounds, 7 ounces. Rick Clunn, Ava, Missouri, weighed in a limit. Gary Klein has weighed in 4 fish so far. Gary could have 1 more fish for his limit of 5. That fish has got to weigh 4 pounds, 1 ounce in order to win the $100,000 first prize. But before we find out, what we always do, take a chance, quick breather. After these messages, we'll be right back. The Walmart FLW Tour is brought to you by Wrangler, real comfortable jeans. By Ranger Boats, still building legends, one at a time. By Poulan, the name means quality. And by EverStart batteries, more power for your money.
Lots to choose from for a Fuji flashback today. Let's give it the Height, though, for that circus act that he did on the last fish.
It's the kind of moment we hope for every time we start one of these Walmart FLW Tour events here on the Mississippi River in Memphis, Tennessee. We got that moment ready to go. Having weighed in 5 fish, our leader right here, Rick Clunn from Ava, Missouri, 20 pounds, 7 ounces. Gary Klein over there, weighed in 4 fish, could have one more. He needs 4 pounds, 1 ounce in order to make his limit and take the lead, win the $100,000 first prize. In the spirit of togetherness, we're going to get Rick to come up here. We want everybody to get a good look at the scales. Gary, 4 pounds, 1 ounce. Championship is yours. The repeat championship on the Mississippi River, if you can do it. There's something there. There he is. Got to be 4-1. Got to be 4-1. Looking for 4 pounds, 1 ounce. First ever defending championship on the Walmart FLW Tour.
5 pounds, 8 ounces.
Gary Klein is your champion. Let's hear it. Way to go, Gary. 2 different rivers, 1999 versus 2000, 2 completely different, well, not completely, but very much different situations. To come back and do what you did, it defies believability. But believe it, you did it.
It's been quite a week. First, I'd have to thank my lovely wife, Jana, my 2 daughters, Lakota and Canyon.
Here they come. All right, everybody's going to get up here. Let's hear it for the entire Klein team here. Hi, Jana. How are you? Congratulations. What a week, Gary, and tell everyone how you caught those fish, because it was such a display last year. Tell us what you did this year.
I'm pretty excited. This is a pretty neat accomplishment for me, and especially anytime you can stand on stage in a world-class event like this and beat out guys like we have sitting here in the boats and shaking Rick Klun's hand because he finished second. It's not very often I have that opportunity to beat him out. He's one of the best there is, and all these anglers that make the cut are the best, and you can't stumble in an event like this, especially when you're fishing what I consider one of the finest fisheries in the world, the Mississippi River.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of Go Network, go.com.